Save the Semantics, episode 20. What the fuck? 29? 89. Episode 89. It is October 21st, 2019. My name is Myro. This is the podcast where I talk about myself and things that interest me. It's been a pretty calm weekend, I guess. Well, I was busy this weekend, but it's been not a whole lot has been going on. Nice sort of calm moment of peace. In a while, a little bit of a break, not too much. I got some exams and essays coming up within the next couple of weeks or so I'm kind of starting to prep for that. But it really hasn't been all that stressful. What has been stressful, as I've mentioned before, is just kind of preparing for next year, preparing for potential work opportunities. I got some interviews coming up. Should be interesting. I'm trying to kind of figure out how I should kind of handle myself, because it's a different type of interview. It's not something that I've really experienced before. It's going to be different, much more of a corporate. It's a corporate setting, so I have to kind of get myself adjusted to that. But yeah, so that's like really the main thing that that's just kind of been on my mind, thinking about, graduating, moving forth with my career and whatnot, things are moving pretty fast, because what is this, 4 weeks into this quarter? Yeah, this system goes by pretty quickly, I was kind of like questioning, like, I definitely will miss some aspects of college, I think there was a good amount of freedom. I felt like I think the first 2 years, especially the first year, second year was so-so, but like the first year I was able to kind of go forth and try out new things and see kind of what stuck for me. Last year I kind of did the same. A lot of it kind of fell to the wayside, mainly because, I don't know, I didn't feel motivated to continue going forth on pursuits that I wasn't really all that passionate about. But like my first year for sure was definitely like kind of set forth the platform, or set forth like the steps that I took to get where I am now, obviously. Just in terms of like growth and figuring stuff out that I enjoy, I'm still like, I'm still not set as an individual. There's still things that I haven't like really tried, and maybe, like I've said, before, I do maybe want to try out those things in the future. But yeah, I think, yeah, that first year was definitely definitive. What the hell was I gonna say? The point I was trying to get at, I was saying, like, despite like, meeting new people and that sort of thing, I think the time for that is coming kind of to a close, for me at least. I'm sort of ready to move on to the next thing. I think I was just sort of like thinking about that. Like, I had class this morning. I was waiting for the bus, and I've mentioned before that the bus system on my campus is pretty horrid. It's not very well maintained. It's not super efficient. It's not efficient at all, actually. And I was like, yeah, I'm not really gonna miss any of this, to be honest. I'm not really gonna be missing heading over to class and whatnot. There's moments for sure. Like, I enjoy learning, and I somewhat enjoy learning in sort of a classroom setting to an extent, but like, even that, I'm just I'm like, okay, what's like the next thing, I'm looking forward, of course I gotta like finish up whatever else I got going on right now, but I'm looking ahead to the future, which is, both a positive and a negative. There's some detriments to it. Sometimes I'm a little too forward looking. I think I look way too much into the future. Things of like what I expect, I have like these expectations of things that happen, whether it's like, work, relationships, that sort of thing. I have like pretty somewhat lofty expectations of how they might go down, and I think about, my mind kind of wanders to how these things will go down, and then when those things don't happen, I get pretty let down. So I'm trying not to set those expectations too high for myself. Just learning from experience, I'm just like, I just don't want to keep letting myself down in that manner. Just sort of being realistic about things, I guess. I mean, I'm pretty like, grounded in terms of like being realistic and stuff like that, but I still feel like there are some things that I kind of let myself go, let myself get to my head in a sense. So that's something I could always work on. But yeah, overall, I'd say I'm like ready to kind of move on to the next thing, while of course trying out new things along the way, right? Like I think one of the worries that I've had, like just in terms of like, moving on to like the next thing, working like a full-time job, and I mentioned this a little bit before, but like it's just there's a lot of like, I've kept myself busy throughout college and stuff like that, but you do like a lot of it just relies on you and sort of what you want to do. I mean, of course, like I need to work because I need money, so that's kind of like a necessary thing that I have to do. But outside of that, like the classes I take, those aren't like things that I have to do. It's just things that I want to do, things that sort of add on to my experience and stuff like that. And then afterwards, like the remaining time is left up to you in a sense, left up to me, and I'm I've definitely tried my best to kind of fill that time. Like I said, like my freshman year, I tried out some things, radio being the most prominent thing, and yeah, I think I'm trying to see what other things I could potentially do within my last year. I don't know if because like I do have some time, but it's not a whole lot of time. Like it's not a whole lot of time to dedicate to something else. I'm like, I can handle juggling multiple things, but like some things like just take too much energy for me, even despite like it being like, I don't know, some extracurricular activity or stuff like that. Like I feel like I can't really like fill up my schedule like that anymore. I don't know. Maybe I can. Maybe I'm just like not as motivated to do those kinds of things, mainly because I've already kind of set my goal on what I want to do and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It's sort of difficult to describe. It's not really concrete what exactly I want. I know what and where I want to be at. It's just sort of the how I get there. It's just the process of getting there, and all the other things that I may also want to do, like just hobbies and stuff like that. Developing hobbies for sure is like one thing that I've sort of kept at the back of my mind. I guess this right here, doing the podcast is sort of a hobby. I don't really, I haven't really put in a ton of like time and thought into this. Like this is a pretty straightforward thing. It's just me kind of talking about myself. That's really it is. It's a kind of a selfish thing. It's not very interactive per se, right? It's not really it's not in video format or anything like that. I'm not really necessarily engaging with anyone else. But maybe this is something that I've always said this, but maybe this is something that I can expand on. Maybe this is something that I want to do. I don't know though. We'll see. Try out some new things depending on how I get to it, I guess. So yeah, that's that. That's what's been on my mind as of late. Thinking about the future and a little bit of my past in a sense. Um, it's been good though. It's been a pretty solid quarter thus far. I mean, it's only really been a few weeks, but a few weeks is a whole chunk of time with this system. So yeah, prepping for midterms, all that. What else is there to talk about today? Um, I have what have I been doing outside of like school and stuff? I'm kind of getting sort of back into running. I wanted to go I wanted to go on a run earlier today. But I was just like, nah. Just nah. I could have. It's really nice out, maybe I'll do it Wednesday. But I just kind of decided to just go for a walk instead and record this. But I think I'm sort of, I wouldn't necessarily getting back in shape. I still feel like I'm in the same shape as I was like a few months ago. Like I haven't really been, I haven't really been exercising as consistently as I want to. Um, haven't really hit the gym like I've said in a previous episode. So that's something that's also on the table in terms of things that I potentially want to do, but most likely won't get around to doing. Um, yeah, I kind of want to try to because I know in the winter, like once like rain season starts, that's when like I'm like the least active. I don't go outside. Like right now is like the perfect time to do something, like be to exercise, be outside and shit. It's really nice out. Like I should, actually take that into consideration. And I have. It is super nice out. I don't know, it's just motivating factors again, I guess. So I'll try. I'll keep getting back to it. I'll try to keep getting back to it. But I've been walking around. But then again, everyone else walks. There's like what was I gonna say? What is there like? What is there like? I don't know. Completely lost my train of thought there. Um, I haven't really watched any Netflix. Still haven't. I still haven't really watched anything. I did watch the Breaking Bad movie. Did I talk about that? I'm not sure if I did. But anyway, I watched the El Camino, the Breaking Bad sequel movie recently that was released on Netflix, and it was good. I felt like it was a solid conclusion for Jesse's story. It was good to know that Vince Gilligan was at the helm. He directed it, and it felt very much like a part of the story. Of course, there are some parts where you're like, okay, the few of the actors, were aged, so that was a pretty noticeable thing. But outside of that, I felt that it was a solid, nice conclusion. It was good to see that. I mean, it's really not that much of a spoiler to say that Jesse kind of gets a good ending at the end of the movie. I feel like that's sort of the main purpose, is to get that sort of satisfaction that Jesse's all right in a sense. And yeah, they made some interesting references to of course Breaking Bad, but to kind of Better Call Saul too. There was one character in particular who made an appearance on Better Call Saul, and he was a bodyguard in that movie. So I thought that was a nice little nod. I was hoping to be able to watch the fourth season of Better Call Saul on Netflix, but they haven't released that yet, which I was kind of disappointed about. I finished the third season, and because I was watching that season on cable until I missed out on an episode during a week, and so I kind of completely lost track of it. But I finished the last couple of episodes, and it was I'm interested to seeing how it continues in the fourth season. I know they've already released it on cable and AMC, but I'm just kind of waiting for it to be released on Netflix. So we'll see how that goes. I think people are saying it's on par with Breaking Bad. I think it's a different show. Like it's of course it's hard not to make those comparisons to like the original show, but like it's very much a different. It's a more of a slow burn. There's less violence in it. It focuses a lot on like deception and that kind of thing. Like how Jimmy sort of maneuvers through different situations, how he essentially cons uh, other people and stuff like that. That's like the thing that keeps you like on the edge of your seat. You're like, okay, how's he gonna go through this? Because like the actor Bob Odenkirk, he's such a good actor. Like he plays an actor. He plays a character who's acting to a particular audience, and each time he sets up like a con, it's like he molds into a different type of character, and I think thought that was interesting. It kind of reminds me of what the hell was that show called? There's another show on Amazon that it's about a con man. It's called Sneaky Pete. That's what it was called. I enjoyed that show. I don't think that many people have really seen it. When I had Amazon Prime, I had like a student like deal for like a year or something like that. I watched the first 2 seasons, and I thought it was pretty good. Like it was like focusing on this one con man who decides to take the identity of someone else once by and getting out of prison, and then from there he tries to live with the family of the person's identity that he stole. So it's kind of like an interesting thing. He's trying to like con the family while also like pretending to be like someone else, and also like escaping the authorities and like other like crime members like that. And also Bryan Cranston is in that, so there's like a bit of a connection there. In the first season, Bryan Cranston's in it. He was the sort of like the main villain of that season. He was the like the crime lord or something like that of who was trying to come after the Skinny Pete and his money, essentially, or Sneaky Pete and his money. So I thought it was a pretty well done show. I always like that kind of like con man aspect to those shows. I like heist movies. That's just kind of my thing. I like how all those sort of things kind of develop throughout the movie or the show. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the 4th season. It'll be interesting to see how like they tie it in with like Breaking Bad, because like throughout like the show in Better Call Saul, they like make inference to the fact that like Saul, his real name is Jimmy, right? But like we don't really see his, well, at least I haven't really seen him develop into Saul Goodman, the lawyer. And then also after that, he's seen working at a Cinnabon at a mall, and I'm assuming that takes place after Breaking Bad, after all the fallout of Walt dying and all that. So, that's like a spoiler for Breaking Bad, I guess. Sorry about that. But like, so that's something that's interesting. I'm interested to see how that kind of works out, like how they're gonna be able to sort of maybe they'll like jump a timeline. Maybe they'll do like a time jump, and then they'll go ahead in time, and then we'll see what happens. So I guess I'm looking forward to that. Other than that, I haven't really listened to anything new as of late. I've kind of been jumping back and forth between like some jazz music. I re-listened to Saba's "Care for Me" just because I was like in the mood. Yesterday, I listened to the whole album, and it's a pretty damn good album. I think like when I first listened to some of those songs, I was like in a particular place. Like it took state of mind and stuff like that. I felt like I was like kind of going through some stuff, and it just sort of brings me back to that, and it's sort of, the album kind of embodies a lot of those feelings, you know, like it's very much about like trauma and sort of getting over that trauma and developing yourself as an individual and that kind of thing, and also in memoriam of a friend that he lost. So a lot of emotions tied to it, and in a way that's sort of, when was it released? 2017, I think. Has it been 2 years? Let me see. Saba, Care for Me. Where is it? Checking out my Apple Music right now. No, 2018. It was 2018. Yeah, it was last year. So, like, I was, like, I think just like certain types of music is kind of, it's not nostalgia. It's just memory. You just have a sort of certain memory tied to it, and I just kind of remember listening to that song at a particular time last year, and I still appreciate it for what it is. I think it's definitely one of my favorite albums that I listened to within the last few years or so, I think. And it's good to know that there's still some replayability to it. And yeah, sorry if this was kind of a mess. Just kind of a burst of thoughts and a lot of pausing and a bunch of shit. But then again, that's probably every single episode, so that's probably not expecting much from the audience or for me either. That's probably going to do it for this episode. This has been Save the Semantics, signing off.